father, Dr. Chan Yeh, was born on April 30th, 1933 in Xiamen, China, a coastal city in the Fujian province. As a young boy, his family was quite poor. In the late 1940s, many residents of Xiamen foresaw the impending political upheaval and fled to Taiwan. My father, then a teenager, was among them. He described the overnight journey across rough seas as utterly terrifying. Life in Taipei offered little opportunity. Poverty was widespread and prospects were limited. Then came the Korean War. My father managed to convince the US Army personnel stationed in Taipei at the time that he could speak Korean and can serve as a translator for the ground forces over there. But in reality, he knew no Korean at all. But at just 16 years old, he was evidently persuasive enough that the military deployed him to join the US ground forces in Korea. His intellect impressed senior officers, one of whom eventually sponsored his studies at the Virginia Military Institute in Lexington, Virginia. He studied electrical engineering, graduated at the top of his class, and later went on to Cornell University to pursue a PhD in nuclear physics. He recognized the shifting tides in the field and transitioned to electrical engineering and computer science, ultimately earning his doctorate in that discipline instead. After beginning his career at IBM and Siemens, my father realized that his true calling lay in entrepreneurship. He saw an opportunity to use technology as a means of safeguarding the Chinese culture at a time when it was under threat. Mao sought to Romanize the Chinese language, to integrate China more closely with the West. But my father believed in preserving its rich heritage. This conviction led him to found IPX, a company dedicated to digitizing the Chinese language. He and his team developed an innovative input device that enabled Chinese characters to be typed at an unprecedented speed of 60 words per minute, more than 3 times faster than typesetters of the day. They also created a digital printer with a high-resolution dot matrix capable of accurately reproducing the complexity of Chinese characters.
There are so many fond memories of my father-in-law. One was just after a normal dinner, we were putting things away, and he started recounting and telling me a little bit more about his work. And I remember grabbing the back of like some leftover mail and just started writing notes, because some of the things that started coming out I just couldn't believe and I wanted to look more into and read about. I remember studying Asian American history, and stories like this just weren't captured anywhere. The stories of some of these Chinese immigrants coming over and working on things that maybe didn't turn into, large companies, still really germane to the spirit of Silicon Valley, using technology for good and trying to give back everywhere he could. And I just thought so much of that was who really embodied in who he was in his storytelling.
This is something I heard all the time when I was a kid, was that we have to give back because this country gave so much to us that it is our duty to give back.
At one point, we actually took a tour of the Computer History Museum together. He would tell you the make and model of the artifacts that were there, the people behind them, and the personalities behind them. He was like a kid in a candy store. And it's when he lit up the most was telling those stories of how exciting it was to be part of Silicon Valley when, back in the 70s and 80s.
Our hope is that my father's legacy lives on through the Silicon Practitioners program here at Stanford.
The interdisciplinary aspect of Silicon is something that I know he'd be really supportive of. When you consider computer science and design and UX and the arts and linguistics all coming together to solve some of these problems is something that he organically pioneered. And so seeing this at scale would be incredibly special to him.